Welcome back to the channel. The 2024 NFL free agency moves have been incredible. Let's grade some of the players in their new home. Kicking things off with Derrick Henry joining the Ravens. Now that's a game changer. Last season, Henry had 1,167 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns for a very mediocre Tennessee Titans team. Well, he's now teaming up with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Picture this: Henry's power and Jackson's speed, together on the same field. It's a terrifying thought for defenses, but a thrilling one for fantasy football players. This pairing is a touchdown machine waiting to happen, and we all know what touchdowns mean: fantasy points. With this dynamic duo, we're talking serious points potential every single week. So, what's the verdict? Well, we're giving this move an A++. Yes, you heard that right, a plus plus, it's that good. Henry's ability to bulldoze through defenses, combined with Jackson's agility and passing prowess, makes for a fantasy dream team. This is the kind of move that can turn a good fantasy team into a great one. Don't sleep on this dynamic duo. Next up, we have Saquon Barkley. Barkley's switch to the Philadelphia Eagles is not just about rivalries, it's a strategic piece for the Eagles. Barkley, on a 3-year $37.75 million contract, is poised to elevate the Eagles' backfield with his explosive playmaking ability. At 27, he's in the prime of his career, coming off seasons where he consistently surpassed 1,200 yards from scrimmage and notched at least 10 touchdowns. What does this mean for fantasy owners? As the clear-cut RB1 in Philadelphia, expect him to see a hefty workload both on the ground and in the passing game, making him a top fantasy pick. His ability to break off long runs and find the end zone with regularity will be key in an Eagles offense that knows how to maximize its playmakers' talents. For fantasy players, Barkley's move is a reminder of his elite status and potential for even greater production in a high-powered offense. Draft him with confidence as your RB1, and watch as he contributes to your fantasy team's success week in and week out. Barkley gets an A+. Turning our attention to Chicago, the Bears made a statement by bringing DeAndre Swift on board with a 3-year, $24 million contract. While Swift's performance behind the Eagles' elite offensive line was impressive, his move to a Bears team with a less formidable line raises questions. Fantasy-wise, Swift's situation warrants a cautious approach. His performance will hinge on the Bears' offensive line's ability to create spaces. Keep a close eye on this situation in preseason games to gauge their chemistry and Swift's adaptability to his new environment. Swift gets a B. Next up, former Green Bay Packer Aaron Jones. He's taking his talents to Minnesota. Jones's dual threat capabilities make him a solid running back too, with a potential to surprise. However, Jones is 29 years old and playing for a Vikings team that let Kirk Cousins go to Atlanta. We recommend holding on Aaron Jones in 2024. Jones gets a BE. Then we have Austin Ekeler. He's heading to Washington. Ekeler's pass-catching prowess keeps him relevant, especially in point per reception or PPR leagues. Ekeler is also an older running back turning 29 in May and is considered a low-end running back too. Ekeler gets a B. Now let's talk Josh Jacobs. He's packing up for Green Bay and will be one to watch in 2024. Jacobs' volume in Green Bay could elevate him to RB1 status, and that could be a game changer for your fantasy team. Jacobs could be a 5 to 10 fantasy running back. Jacobs gets an A+. Last but not least, we have Devin Singletary. He's found a new home with the New York Giants. He's a steady player that could make a difference. The Giants will need to improve their offensive line, but Singletary's consistent play makes him a valuable flex option, so don't overlook him during your draft. Singletary gets a C. Switching gears to quarterbacks, we have some interesting moves to discuss. First up is Sam Darnold, who's taking his talents to Minnesota. Darnold's move is intriguing as it feels like the Vikings are scrambling after losing Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. We believe the Vikings will draft a rookie quarterback, leaving Darnold as a backup. Darnold gets a C, as he most likely has limited fantasy value. If Darnold is the Vikings quarterback starter in 2024, he could be a sneaky good QB2 or a streaming option depending on matchups. Next, we have Kirk Cousins joining the Atlanta Falcons. Cousins is a fantastic add to this young team and a force to be reckoned with. His leadership cements this as a smart move for both Cousins and the young Falcons' weapons. Cousins gets an A+. Despite some injury concerns, Cousins remains a reliable QB1 in most formats. His consistent production and the Falcons' pass-heavy offense could lead to some big fantasy performances this season. Finally, now let's talk about Russell Wilson. Regardless of the turbulent season last season in Denver, Wilson is headed to Steel City, whose fantasy stock could be on the rise. New offensive coordinator Arthur Smith is expected to install a running-heavy offense to help keep the pressure off Wilson. Russell will be a game manager, minimize turnover, and take some deep shots to big play receiver George Pickens. This potential for increased efficiency and touchdowns could vault him back into a relevant fantasy quarterback. Consider Wilson a high-upside QB too. Wilson gets a B. In summary, these quarterback moves could be game changers or flops. Be sure to weigh the risks and rewards. The potential for a breakout season is there, but so is the potential for a letdown. Finally, let's dive into the wide receivers. Darnell Mooney is taking his talents to Atlanta, joining forces with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. After a down year, Mooney is set for a bounce back with a contract that screams confidence. Fantasy-wise, this move could mean increased targets and a significant role in the Falcons' aerial attack. Keep an eye on him as a sleeper pick. Mooney gets a B+. Mike Evans re-signs with Tampa Bay, and we are glad to see it. As Baker Mayfield's go-to target, Evans remains a WR1 in all formats. His ability to snag touchdowns makes him a top pick among receivers. Evans gets an A. Lastly, Gabe Davis is leaving Buffalo and teaming up with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. While Davis has been inconsistent at times, he is considered one of the league's best deep threats. Davis will most likely replace Zay Jones. Davis gets a B. And there you have it, folks. That's our free agency fantasy breakdown. We've dissected the most impactful player moves, grading them from C to A++, based on their potential fantasy football implications. Derrick Henry's move to Baltimore not only shakes up the Ravens' backfield, but also the entire fantasy landscape. Darnell Mooney's new horizon in Atlanta signals a potential breakout year, while the running back market shuffle, featuring Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and Devin Singletary, offers intriguing opportunities and challenges for fantasy owners. The quarterback carousel, with Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, and Russell Wilson on the move, can drastically alter the fantasy quarterback rankings, and let's not forget Mike Evans, who remains a top-tier receiver in Tampa Bay. Remember, the right pick can make or break your season. Until next time, dominate your draft.